Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I thought I would go ahead and film a writing tip video, and today I'm going to be talking about plotting and how to kind of create your book and what aspects you need when drafting. As many of you know, I am a published author of Red Siren, and I am currently working on the sequel, the title to be revealed soon. And also, I will be on a podcast pretty soon as well. I will give you guys all the info on that when I am allowed to. But basically, I am a published author, and I thought that it would be a good idea to come onto my channel and tell you a little bit about writing processes and kind of how to begin. You know, if you're interested in writing your own book, kind of what you need to think about, because it isn't always you sit down and you write. Sometimes it is, and sometimes it's not. So that's kind of the difference between publishing and just writing for fun on the side, is that you have to actually have certain things in order to have a successful book, which is why I am here teaching all of you. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get in. And speaking of beginnings, where does a book begin for me? So typically I know the ending sometimes. Sometimes I know the beginning and not the ending. Sometimes I start in the middle and I know the middle, and I have to kind of figure out where I want to go with it. Red Siren was in the middle, to be completely honest. Red Siren, it's told in a flashback. That first scene of Red Siren is almost unedited to what came out of me, and so I started with a scene. I started in a scene in the middle of the book. And that's kind of how I went. So I had to kind of figure out, where do I go from here? You know, why am I in the middle? How do I get to the beginning? Where's the end? You know, I had to figure all that out. So 3 things are going to matter when writing a book. And those 3 things are character, setting, and plot. The skill of a writer is what editors and readers are looking for. So you can have really bad ideas and have a fantastic book. Or you can have a really good idea and it's the best book ever, and if you pitch it, it's great, but your writing sucks. That won't be successful, because editors are going to be like, I want to focus on this, you need to become a better writer, and then readers are just going to be like, this is sloppy. So a few things are going to have to be addressed in your book. The first thing, I have a list. The first thing is promises. Then you want progress, and then you want payoff. So with promises can be at the very beginning of the book. It can also be, you can set up a lot of them, but also like a promise might be, well, Harry Potter, he's the chosen one, he's gonna defeat Voldemort, he did, and he's the chosen one. So obviously with the chosen one, he's going to have a legendary life in his name, basically. So while you're editing or revising or even drafting your book, you want to ask, am I delivering on the promises that I am making? So if you promise somebody that Harry Potter is going to be important, and then all of a sudden Neville comes along, and Harry's kind of like written out of the book, like that promise isn't delivered on. An example of a promise is also your writing style. So if you write a comedy, and it's going to be funny, it's going to be witty, it's going to be all of that, it's going to be like kind of like Shrek, but you open with a grim, dark scene at the beginning, like Dobby's death, that's not a promise. So when if I open up a book and I read a suicide scene, it's very dramatic and grim dark, and then the next chapter it's witty and funny and hysterical, I was promised a really dramatic book. That's what drew me in. Ooh, this book's gonna be dramatic and grim dark and all of that, and then all of a sudden I'm in a comedy. I'm going to put that book down. An example of this, I would say you need to keep it consistent, basically. If you open with grimdark, keep it grimdark. That does not mean, though, that you can't have comedy in your book. An example of this I would probably use is Avengers. Avengers is an action-adventure movie, and it's epic, and it's got heroes, and it's got death, and it's got sadness, and it's got growth, it's got everything, but it also has humor. But the humor is placed in ways that it doesn't change the story. Like, yeah, I wouldn't say Avengers is a comedy, but I know that there's going to be humor in it. And humor can also be a huge writing device to help. Okay, so my mom just called and I needed to pick up the phone, so I'm going to try to remember where I was. But basically what I was trying to say was you have to be consistent with your writing style. You can add humor and it can be a really good plot device to kind of help move the story along, but you can't use it in a you have to have a purpose to the humor, in my opinion. All right, progress. So progress to me is one of the most important things you could have in a book, and progress basically means steps you take to get to the payoff. So, like, I have written down Star Wars and steps to take to get the payoff. So basically at the beginning of the movie, you have help me Obi-Wan Kenobi. So the main goal is to get the plans to the princess. Does that change within the series? Absolutely, because that gets to be the goal. But basically, what steps were taken to get to that end game? What steps were taken? How long did it take? I mean, you can have progress. The thing is about progress is it can be yay or nay for some readers. You can have authors do really bad progress, but a really good payoff. And payoff is something like the romance couple getting together, or the bad guy getting ruined, or stuff like that. So progress can be very important too, but payoff can be very important too, but progress, I kind of want to use Lord of the Rings, don't kill me. But basically, I have not finished Lord of the Rings. And the reason being is because of the progress. Literally, I spent 20 pages on songs. Another thing about progress would be George R.R. Martin. I spent 3 pages of him describing a sword. And that's all great and grand, but I'm bored by it. I need to have a little bit more progress. Like, let's move a little bit faster. Now, that's not everybody, but I like a little bit more progress. And what I'm saying is speed of progress. It needs to be a good balance between not too fast and not too slow. And that's going to keep the readers engaged. Payoff is going to be, again, kind of like I said, it's going to be at the end. It's going to be the feeling you give readers at the end of the book, and it's going to determine if they pick up the next book. So if it's a series or something, you leave on a cliffhanger. It's usually a pretty good way to get a reader to come back to you. I don't like cliffhangers, I'm going to be honest, and they actually deter me from reading from that author, because I don't like that plot device. I don't like a cliffhanger. I think it's kind of cheap to do, because unless it's absolutely necessary, I don't know how to describe it, but I'm not a big fan of it unless it's absolutely necessary. So payoff can be good or it can be bad. So you can have great progress and a shitty payoff. Excuse the language. But basically, like, I'll use an example of The Hero and the Crown. The progress was great, and the payoff stunk. Literally, I have a whole review of it. I don't like the book because the payoff wasn't good, but at the same time, to me, it was a good book because it did have good progress, it did have a good adventure, it did have a good storyline. But the payoff doesn't make me want to read it again because I know it's going to be disappointing to me. An example of a good payoff, I'm going to say it's not like the exact like same, but I'm going to go back to the Avengers. So they kind of teased here and there Captain America being able to hold the hammer, and it wasn't like something that was addressed a lot, and it wasn't really in the back of people's minds to the extent that I think that would be like a plot point. But in Endgame, spoilers, when he took the hammer up and he was able to use it and wield it, everyone went crazy, and it was a payoff. It was, oh, I knew it, because they had teased that in an earlier Avengers movie. So it was a good payoff, and when you think of it, you're like, yes, I want to see that scene again. I'll watch the movie just to see that scene again. At least in my opinion, that's how that works. Alright guys, that is all I have to say in this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and please leave me a like and comment down below letting me know your tips with plotting and outlining as well. I will be posting a few more of these types of videos, and let me know if you liked it. And with that, I'll go ahead and say goodbye.